All right, welcome back to Jesse on Fire's channel. You will see a slight change of scenery today. I had to readjust how I'm set up. That's probably going to continue until I find the perfect spot that I love. But the content is always going to be fire. You're going to go back to my oldest stuff. Fast forward 2 years from now, when you're looking at the biggest MMA channel in the world, you're going to go back to this stuff and you're going to be like, man, look at how sorry his setup was. But then you're going to watch and be like, but man, he was spitting fire from the get-go. So today we're going to talk about GAETHJE, CONOR, because Alvarez weighed in on what he thinks is going to happen in that fight. And that is a very interesting thing because Alvarez has fought them both. And also his opinion may not actually matter though, because we're going to talk about the evolution of Justin GAETHJE. Now, I talked about this in detail on my podcast from this weekend. I'm not going to assume that everybody has the patience to sit through 50 minutes. As a matter of fact, I look at the analytics. I know for a fact that you guys don't. So here's the deal. This is an important point, so we're going to talk about it right now. Here's one thing to keep in mind, okay? Anytime you ask a fighter who has fought two guys who they think is going to win out of those two guys, if one of those guys beat him and the other one, he beat them, they're always going to pick the guy that beat them. 100% of the time, of course. You know, you're looking at it through your life experience. You're like, you know, against this guy, I was really able to do my thing. You know, oh, I dropped my backpack that's there just to take up space. Against this guy, you know, I was in my groove and, you know, he really couldn't stop my shots. Somehow against this guy, everything I threw was missing and he kept tattooing my face. I feel like he's probably going to win. You know, so like in some ways, that person's opinion is essentially worthless. On the other hand, they've actually been in the octagon with the guys, right? So he's like, yeah, you guys on television, this guy looks real fast. Trust me, this guy's way faster, okay? I get it, how it might look on the outside. When it's coming at you and he's setting you up with this and that, different ball game, okay? I've seen everything this guy's got. I've seen everything this guy's got. There's no comparison, right? Now, with Eddie Alvarez, I think that the latter is probably more accurate. However, you have to keep in mind the new Justin GAETHJE because I love when people evolve. I love it. I'm going to just pretend as though you have not seen my podcast and basically regurgitate the same things that I talked about there, okay? I love that GAETHJE lost 2 fights because I love GAETHJE. But if GAETHJE lost 1 fight, he could chalk that up to a fluke. But he loses 2 fights in a row exactly the same way. Alvarez, Poirier versus GAETHJE, 2 of the best fights of all time. If you haven't watched them, go watch. Even knowing the outcome, knowing GAETHJE's going to lose in the later rounds. I mean, first of all, you'll be watching those fights and you're going to be like, how is he going to pull this out? Dustin Poirier literally cannot walk. How is he going to continue to fight? Okay? But listen, he loses those 2, and he finds out that his approach, not just in fighting, but to life, is not going to work at the upper echelons of the lightweight division. Because here's the deal. Like I've said a million times, okay? The octagon to me is a translation of a person's life. And what I think it says about GAETHJE's life and what got him to where he is that how he has excelled in everything he's done athletically is he goes until the other guy breaks, okay? That is how he fought, right? I'm going to let you hit me because in order to hit me, you're going to have to let your guard down, which means you hit me, but guess what? I hit you. And I can take it if you can take it. Or I can take more than you can take, right? He's not even necessarily saying I hit harder than you. He's saying I hit as hard as you and I can take more shots than you can. And so you think about that and you translate that to the guy, you know, he's an all-American wrestler. That's not talent, dude. All-American wrestler, you have to be legit working your balls off. So I would imagine that when he's in practice, they're ripping around the gym and he watches all the other guys break and he's like, I got another one in me. And that's how he went. I will go until the other guys break. That's how I know when I go in there and when I compete that I'm going to be better prepared than anyone else because I broke everyone that I was training with. And then when he wrestles, he goes and he's like, I won't break, you will, and he wins, right? Everything is in the context of you break, I don't, right? And then he gets up to the top echelon, and that's exactly how he fights. He's always fought and he's always worked. He has always broken the other guy before he broke, always. Then he loses 2 fights, and it's like, oh, okay, that's not going to work anymore. I'm going to have to actually implement some of the other gifts that I have or the other skills that I've developed and come in with maybe like a game plan because this is not working at this level. I'm going to have to, you know, like these other skills, I might be a better man than this guy. But we're both going to start at the bottom of the mountain Oh man, anybody who watches this consistently knows this microphone has a very limited time to be on this earth. I'm gonna break you. It's inevitable. And I'm gonna do it on camera. Stay right there. Don't fucking move. Anyway, so when you look at how Gaethje approaches the world, right? Or at fighting, his old way of fighting was akin to two guys starting at the bottom of a mountain that is endless, and they start running up the hill. And they're just running and running and running and running and running, and he's like, you're gonna quit before I do. And they had always quit before he did, right? That's it. It's a straight shot. We're just running up. That's as simple as it was. The game plan was, I will run up this mountain longer than you will. I can take the burn longer than you can. Your knees are gonna give out. I will drag myself up this fucking hill with my hands, my teeth, and my elbows, okay? There's nothing that's gonna get me to stop running up this fucking mountain, except in the context of the mountain taking damage to your body. There is a place where your body's gonna give out. Your mind hasn't given out, but your body gives out. It can't do it anymore, right? So it turns out that those skills, the thing that you haven't been thinking about, your game plan has not been a part of factoring in all of that, that actually matters, right? Like, your skills matter because their skills, oh, wait a minute. So we're not running up the same hill because this guy's skills, I'm not thinking about, you know, maybe I'm actually I'm taking more damage than I'm actually delivering. So, you know, maybe he's running up a hill that's a little more flat than I am because I'm not implementing my skills. So now, next generation Justin Gaethje, he starched 3 guys in a row. Now that gave us no information, right? It's like Francis Ngannou saying, you know, oh, well, you know, after the Stipe fight, I learned how to wrestle. Okay. Well, he's starched 4 guys in a row in a combined 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So how the fuck would we know if he actually developed wrestling defense? We have no idea, right? He may have, he may not have. We don't know. Plain and simple. Gaethje, first 3 fights, James Vick starched him, and that gave me a lot of satisfaction. There's some reason, let me finish this thought, then I'll come back to this actually. So he starched James Vick, starched Barbosa, starched Cowboy, right? That doesn't tell us whether he's an evolved fighter because he put him down before, you know, you would see his instincts kick in. Then he fought Tony Ferguson, who is the king of let's run up the hill. He has the same approach. Let's run up this hill. You're going to quit before me. And as a matter of fact, Tony Ferguson, actually, I've heard stories of that exact thing happening. Tony up the hill, making people quit before him, and then he runs it again, right? And that, I mean, you want a dance partner for that kind of fight. Tony's your Huckleberry, right? And Justin Gaethje showed he has evolved because he is faster and he does have more technical striking than Tony, and he used that to his advantage and he didn't take those shots. I'm going to just make you run up this hill. I'm going to hang out here at the bottom. I'm going to let you run it. I'm going to clip your legs, you know, I'm going to chop your knee out, and then I'm going to watch you try to run it again. I'm going to just hang out down here. Then I'm going to just handicap you a little bit, and then you're going to fall, and then I'll just walk up the hill. That's his new approach, right? I have no idea if that metaphor made any sense whatsoever, but you get the idea, right? So now you know that Justin Gaethje is an evolved fighter. So he's not going to just stand in front of guys and take punishment to deliver punishment anymore. That is not his game plan. However, Tony Ferguson is not Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's game plan has never been, I'll take a shot to give a shot, ever. Conor's game plan is, I am a tactician surgeon, a surgical just assassin, where you're going to try all those things that work with everyone else and you're going to miss, and before you even realize what happened, I've tattooed you with 3 shots. And I'm going to position you in an area that's going to make you uncomfortable with kicks, front kick, you know, spinning back kicks, you know, leg kicks, head kicks, punches, whatever. All of it is just me positioning you so you're in the right spot so that when you do the thing I know you're going to do, I'm literally setting you up to do the thing I know you're going to do because I've studied every one of your fights. And then when you do that thing, I put a left through your face. I mean, Conor has no equal. There is no comparison, okay? Conor is a different animal, a surgical assassin. Now, I've been talking about this a lot on the channel just by happenstance, but what people don't realize about Conor, because they all started paying attention at the Mayweather fight, oh, Mayweather, he's fighting Mayweather. Wait, so what is it? Oh, he lost to Nate Diaz? That was recent? Okay, so he lost to Nate Diaz. Oh, he lost to Mayweather in a fight that obviously he shouldn't have had any chance in. And then he lost to Khabib, which is potentially the best lightweight ever and the worst matchup of all time to Conor. So, all this hype. And you're like, okay, well, do you know that Conor starched 14 consecutive guys before the Nate Diaz fight? With the exception of Max Holloway, who maybe you've heard he's pretty good. And he beat the piss out of him and then won a decision. Did you even realize that? 14 consecutive knockouts in the first or second round? You think that's luck? And he's not Francis Ngannouing people either. Like, we're talking surgical tactician striker. And so with the Gaethje thing, like him beating Tony Ferguson the way that he did, that does not translate to Conor at all, right? Now, Eddie Alvarez, I don't think anyone would say that he's a weak striker. I think I know. He has great technical striking, right? He's a great boxer. He has great kickboxing. He has great low kicks, all that stuff. All the things that Justin Gaethje is great at, Eddie Alvarez is great at. Now, that fight was incredible, and they really were just two guys running up a hill, and one of them was going to fall first. And somehow, Gaethje was the one who fell, but it could have gone either way. I mean, Alvarez he took a lot of punishment in that fight. But the bottom line is when Alvarez fought Conor with his surgical, or his, great mechanical stand-up, he could do nothing. When I say he had nothing for Conor, he had nothing for Conor. Like, nothing. Conor looked like he was out there taking a nap. He put his hands behind his back. Was like, come on now. Because he knew, he had him his movement was so surgical. He knew exactly what Eddie Alvarez was going to do before he did it. And he just, hands behind the back, because what does he need his hands up for? He's not blocking punches. He's moving out of the way and then countering. And he did it over and over and over and over. Now, Trevor Whitman, Gaethje's striking coach, he is as good as they get. And I can absolutely guarantee you that he has watched that Eddie Alvarez fight 10,000 times. He for sure has it broken down 100 times better than I can do. And I'm sure he's looking and going, this is what Eddie Alvarez did wrong. Now, whether or not this is what Eddie Alvarez did wrong is going to equate to Justin Gaethje being able to actually hit Conor with power and it matter. That's a different story, because Conor also is a chess player. If I know this, so does Conor. So he's going to say, Whitman's going to be watching. This is where he's going to coach Gaethje. He's going to tell him to do this. So, expecting him to do that, I'm going to do this. Like, when you watch the Cowboy fight, this is what's... I actually haven't heard any other analysts talk about this. So, another reason. I'm making bone necklaces out of the MMA analysts, okay? Bottom line, bone necklaces, because I don't hear people say things that are obvious to me. As an example, in the Cowboy fight, if you actually watch that fight, right? Now, I already did the whole thing about how I think he was trying to knock him out with that. Obviously he was trying to knock him out with that first shot, but I think his intention was, let me see if I can get the fastest knockout ever. But after he didn't, and he threw the shoulder strikes, he had trained immensely on fighting from the inside. But when you see the exchange that led to the end of the fight, right? When Conor hurt him, and then he pushed him back. He gave him space on purpose, okay? He pushed him back, and then he stood right in front of him just like this, because he knew Cowboy's hurt. Cowboy's going to go to his go-to attack, which is all anyone's been talking about on TV. His high kick. He knew. He's like, Cowboy's going to try to high kick me. And he stood right in front of him, waiting for him to do it. If you watch the fight again, he stood right in front of him and just was baiting him. Like, go ahead, throw that high kick. Go ahead and throw that high kick. Throw it. And as soon as Cowboy threw it, Conor blocked it. And then Cowboy did whatever he apparently had done every time he'd thrown a high kick, because Conor had clearly prepared for this. And he, after his high kick, was getting back reset, and Conor landed his head kick. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Conor had watched tape on him, and he was like, look, when he throws a head kick, this is how he resets. He's wide open for a head kick. I'm telling you, if you think that was like an accident, you're absolutely out of your mind. You're not even out of your mind, you're just wrong. Like 1,000% you're wrong, okay? Conor game planned that exact thing. When he high kicks, he does this, because he stands in front of him and waits for him to throw it, and then he timed that counter. It was a counter left high kick. That's exactly what it was. You know, you don't think of kicks as counters because, you know, you think counter punch like slip, move, counter, you know, slip, counter. You don't think of like slip, move, you know, kick, but that was a counter, 100%. He baited him into throwing that kick, and then he blocked it and then kicked him when he knew he was going to be open because he had game planned it. And what I'm saying is Conor is a chess master in the octagon, 100%. So whatever Gaethje's game plan will be, which will be much better than Alvarez's, Conor's is going to be there too. So listen, I have been very vocal that I think Conor is going to win that fight decisively. But I think that Gaethje is going to be much better equipped to beat Conor than Alvarez was. I think Alvarez went into that fight like, oh my God, this little guy's coming up from 145. Oh, cool, you knocked out Aldo? What does that have to do with me? And then you just had to go 5 rounds to get Nate Diaz out of there? I would crush Nate Diaz. So all I need to do is make sure, you know, that, you know, my punches and my kicks are crisp. And I'm going to go in there, I'm going to just get this guy out of there. I guarantee you that, I mean, I'm sure he was in great shape. But his game plan was, this guy has nothing on me, I'm going to go starch him. Guaranteed. And he found out the hard way. 10 pounds is nothing, dude. Nothing. You know, you go up a weight class, you go from middleweight to light heavyweight, like Luke Rockhold and Matt Weidman. That's a big jump, man. Like, that's a tough one. If guys who are coming off losses and then they go to 205, eesh. Guys who are coming off wins, that's a different story, but neither here nor there. 45 to 55, that's not a big jump, man. That is really not a big jump. Not big enough to where you should just automatically think the bigger guy's going to win. As a matter of fact, historically, you would see that the smaller guy ends up winning because they move a little bit slower. They're used to the little faster guys, and you know the power that you give up doesn't make up for the speed. So, bottom line, Alvarez thinks Conor's going to win. This is just an additional, you know, bolstering that I have told you guys forever that I think Conor's going to win. But I think Gaethje has a real good chance against Khabib. Real good. Real good. And I think Conor has almost no chance of beating Khabib. But if he pulls that off, man. Man, if he pulls that off. Anyway, like the channel, subscribe. You know this is the best content. This is the best MMA content. Show me a video that you think is better than this one about this topic. Seriously. Put it in the comments. Find one video that you think is better than this one about this topic. I'll retire. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Love you guys. Early adopters. Love you guys.